In this video, we are going to see how to scrape a website using Octoparse. In other words, this video will be a tutorial, and we can even say that it's going to be the very same tutorial as this one, but obviously it will be an updated version. So why are we going to use Octoparse to scrape a website? Because in my opinion, that's one of the best web scraping tools in the market, at least if you want to scrape day-to-day websites. And what's more is that it's a freemium web scraping tool. By clicking the link in the description, you can benefit from a 20% discount, but we are going to use the free version for this tutorial anyway. By the way, if you do not know me, I'm Franek, nice to meet you, and I've worked for Octoparse for over a year, so maybe I have some pieces of advice to share with you. Anyway, for this tutorial, we are going to scrape the Octoparse blog. So we are going to scrape Octoparse with Octoparse, makes perfect sense. We are going to scrape the listing page, but also the detailed pages. So the listing page is something like this. We have a list of elements of blog articles, and the detailed pages are simply represented by each URL. So this is a detailed page. Before we jump directly into the tutorial, let's first determine what data fields we are going to extract. Probably the category. So this is a category: Octoparse, web scraping, e-commerce, web scraping. So the blue subtitle, the title, and then we are going to jump into the detailed pages, and we are going to extract the date and maybe the titles, the subtitles. So for example, this is a subtitle, this is another subtitle. In other words, something which is represented by an H3 tag or an H2 tag. We will see if we can achieve this kind of detail. To begin with, I copy my URL and I paste it on Octoparse. So far, it's easy, it's always the same thing. This is my workflow, this is the visual of my website, and this is the data preview part. First thing first, I turn on my browse mode, I remove all the little pop-ups, which can be annoying. And the first thing we do is create what we call a loop item. So a loop item's purpose is to create a loop, as its name suggests, for each item of my list. In that case, the items are blog articles. And if I come back to my website, I have like 3, 6, 9, 12. I have 12 articles per page. On Octoparse, there are two different ways of creating a workflow. The easy part, the easy way, is making a point and click, meaning I point and I click. So I have done that for the first item. I can do that for the second item too. And Octoparse has identified 12 elements. What would you like to do next? I want to extract the text. And if I click on text, see, I have access to my loop item with 12 elements, and I have access to an extract data step, which can be removed because for now we won't need it. As you can see, each time I create something, there is a matching XPath which is linked with that element. I've already made an entire video regarding XPath tutorials if you are interested in that topic, but for now let's move on. As we have said, I want to extract as a topic. If I want to do that, I click on it, so same process as before, the point and click method, and I extract the text. Boom, my extract data step came back from the dead. And if I check on my data preview part, if I refresh my loop item, now I have access to 12 lines. If I preview more data, 12, and each time it's a different value because it is a value related to that item, to that loop item. I can rename my column, of course, topic. What's more is that if I want to modify the XPath, I click on the 3 dots and customize XPath. Let's do the same thing for the title, and I can click on extract data text to get a similar result as what we have previously done. Something I can add, and I think it's very important to know that, that's the reason why I'm mentioning it. You see this list just below, you've got div h2a. This list of items are actually HTML elements, so something related to XPaths. To be clear, you don't have to get a comprehensive understanding of what HTML elements mean, but what you do have to know, however, is that some of them are really specific. For example, here I'm selecting an A element, which identifies a URL. An H2 element identifies a subtitle because H1 represents a title H2 a subtitle. It makes sense. So let's say I want to select the subtitle. So I click on H2 and I click on text and I rename my column and I said title. It's all good. Now what about if we want to jump into the detail pages? Well, I have to click on the URL, correct? And as we have seen, the URL is located here. It makes sense. If I click on it, boom, I have access to the detail page. Let's come back to Octoparse. Let's first add our click item element. So I select my item. I select my A tag because remember, an A tag represents a URL and I want to click on the URL. Boom. So far it makes sense. Relative XPath, I go to options and I open in a new tab. So for a click item, for a click item object, we've got two options, open in a new tab or load with Ajax. The easiest way you have to determine what is good for your workflow is to try it out. If I extract like a random piece of data, a random field, if it's working, it means it's indeed open in a new tab, right? If it's not working, maybe you should do load with Ajax and with a 10 seconds timeout, all right? This is really, you try it out and you see if it's working. So apparently load in a new tab works fine. Let's just do like this and we can still adjust the settings afterwards, right? It's no big deal. Let's delete that column, delete field. I can rename the extract data one, so I can do something like data detail page, boom, apply. Then I can add the date, the publishing date. And here is something interesting. I don't know if it's too advanced, but I think it's interesting to know it nonetheless. I've selected the date and as you can see here, I have access to a time tag. It's very interesting. So for now, I'm only going to extract the text, which shows me March the 5th, 2025. But if I click on more and customize field, I can select other attributes and I can select a date time. Boom. And I have access to the correct date format. You can filter your blog articles by chronological order. I mean, not by chronological order, but by a date time order. You know what I mean? And this is the date. Okay, what we can do is to add the page URL. That's also a very important piece of data. Add custom field, page level data, and page URL. As you can see, I can also drag and drop my columns. If I take a look at a specific example, maybe I can extract some metadata. What do you think? I think it will be easier than just extracting all the H2 or H3 tags, but it leads to a similar result. So I think it might be better to just do it this way, meaning we're going to extract the data tag with a name description element. And this is something specific to most of blog articles, not all of them, of course, but it gives us a clear idea of what the blog article is about. I mean, we have already scraped the title, but let's say it's a bonus. So I come back to Octoparse, I add custom field, page level data one more time, and I can extract the meta description. Boom. And the meta description has been automatically extracted. Okay, this is almost over. I said almost. Why? Well, because ladies and gentlemen, if we take a look at our workflows, there is something missing. With this workflow, we might be able to extract 12 blog articles, not more. In order to do more, we have to create what we call a pagination, meaning we have to create a loop in order to click on the next page button every time. Let's do that. I select my next page element. Here it's an LI tag. It's okay, we don't have access to an A tag anyway. And I click on loop click. See, now I have access to a pagination. I set a 10 seconds Ajax timeout. And if I hide as the workflow, we are on page number 2. Perfect. Let's do it one more time. If I click on pagination and click to paginate, and if now I'm located on the page 3, it means that the workflow is working. And it's the case. So I think the pagination works just fine. What remains to do is to drag my loop item, to drag and drop it inside my pagination loop. So there is a pagination, loop item, extract data, click item, data detail page, and click to paginate. First, we select the next page button, then we extract the data for all 12 items, and once everything has been done, we click on the next page button, the button we have previously selected at the beginning, and we will do the same process on the page 2, on the page 3, and so on. I think we are good to go. However, to make sure that our workflow is running smoothly, we can add some waiting times. So for each and every one of my item, I add, let's say, a 1 second waiting time. I set it up like this: loop item or pagination, options, wait before action, and 1 second. Maybe not for the extract data, it's not really necessary. For the item, yes, sure, let's say 1 second. Maybe a bit more once I've reached the detailed page. So let's make an exception for the data detailed page. I go to the option and I set up, let's say, a 3 seconds waiting time. Sometimes it can be more, of course, and click to paginate up, same thing. Alright, I think it's over. To verify if our workflow is working, I click on run and I click on standard mode. What is going to happen right now is that a new pop-up is going to appear and we simply have to wait until our data is extracted. If we have a problem, it's no big deal, we can just correct it and rerun our workflow. Alright, I wait for a little bit and I see you back once I've got my result. I think we have enough data rows for now, so I can pause my task or simply stop it. And then all that remains to do is to export it, to export the data in an Excel or CSV format. And here is what it should look like. This is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If it's the case, you can subscribe. There is nothing else to see. Bye!